Welcome back, Pirate Crew. It's your captain, Yeehaw Yadam, and we're here back with this week's news market watch section for the second week of the OPO2 set 2 for One Piece TCG. So, fortunately enough, that's me right there. If you guys weren't there to catch the stream, it's okay. It will be uploaded on PBG's channel, but if you were able to be there, thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure and enjoyable to stream this fantastic regional that happened this Sunday. It was really cool to see what people had cooked or thought in the think tank for OPO2, and it was really, really dope. So definitely go check it out as we go ahead and let you guys know. But basically what we wanted to let you know about that news section is the fact that we have the top 8 right here. We have Kinemon. Kinemon was the winner for last week's regional. Quan Lee, congratulations. If I butcher your name, I'm sorry, my guy. But I just want to talk to you about the top 8 real quick, as it comes into the fact of like what I believe the market watch should look like. So we've got Kinemon in first place. Jackson, someone stop this man. Huang, with Law coming in at second. Then we have 2 more Kinemons, followed by a Magellan. A Whitebeard, and then 2 Zoros. So we definitely have 2 out of 8 Zoros, 1 Magellan, 1 Whitebeard, 3 out of 8 Kinemons, and 1 Law. So that's definitely a very indicative, it's pretty consistent with what happened in the East, and I'm pretty happy with it. Overall, these games were fantastic to watch, and there's a lot of very powerful cards that we're going to go ahead and talk about in the market watch, and cards in general that I'm just going to glaze over. So, first things first, guys, if you haven't had the opportunity, you don't know what this is, let me go ahead and introduce it to you. So for those of you that are part of the One Piece TCG, are collectors, are avid card game players, but don't know about this, Premium Bandai is a website where Bandai goes ahead and sells some of the things in the western portion of the games that they allow the East to purchase in tournament settings. So here we have the second promotional product that comes from the Premium Bandai in the form of the Film Red Edition collector set. So this goes ahead, and if for 30 bucks you go ahead and get each of these cards in this really interesting rarity. So we get a new Chopper blocker, we get Nico Robin finally gets an Altar, we get a Brook and Uda, we get the Zoro from the starter deck, and a bunch of other really solid cards, Nami from the starter deck, that don't have an Altar finally get an Altar within this set. So for 30 bucks you get the folder, you get all these fantastic cards, and it is for a limited time only. If this goes ahead and reaches its cap, then it is what it is. So you are allowed to order 12 of this if you want, and I believe this promotion is going on for quite a little bit, not too long. There is a end date, but if they don't reach the end date, or if they run out of product prior to the end date, then you are done and you are unable to. The pre-orders close on April 17th or until supplies last. So if you guys are interested in getting these promotional products, which I do suggest getting, it's here on the Premium Bandai website. And not only this, well, maybe this doesn't tickle your fancy. Maybe these cards aren't as cool. You don't like this Rush Sanji, you don't like this Blogger Chopper who looks absolutely adorable. Maybe you're more of an Ace enjoyer. So I know we're all a little bit of Ace enjoyers, but this box set here, it comes with a box, a fantastic looking mat. Like, my goodness, you have the 3 brothers here, but just in a different setting as opposed to the tournament one. And you also get an alternate Ace leader from the OPO3 set. It looks absolutely stunning. He already has an alt art that comes in the set, but now you have an additional alt art that comes along in the Premium Bandai website. So if you're interested in this, again, the pre-orders close April 17th, and I believe this ships out in November. So you are paying a very hefty upfront cost, but you definitely will at least get the bang for your buck. So I want to let you guys know about this. If you guys are interested in these products, go check out Premium Bandai while supplies last. And now let's get to the market watch. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about Romance Dawn. Now, Romance Dawn is a set that we really haven't touched upon in a long time, and we've seen a lot of cards kind of just stay at where they're at, and a lot of cards fall from grace. So Nami holding that 205 Queen status, as well as a Roronoa Zoro. The Law is going to go ahead and hold that 150, but everyone else has dipped significantly. At one point in time, this Zoro was a $200 card. This Dofi was about 150. Yamato, funnily enough, doing a little bit of a spike because of the Kinemon, and everything else kind of just weighing out to their original values. It's funny to see this Flamingo now under $40, this Eustace under the 35, as well as this under 21. Mihawk holds the 32 value line because this card just seems to be played in every blue deck that you possibly can. And now the fact that we have access to cards like Gum Gum Rain, allowing us to go ahead and discard cards that are unnecessary for counter power, makes Mihawk a little bit more playable in the blue setup. This Kaido being 20 bucks is kind of crazy to me, but funnily enough, the card too that I wanted to talk about in OP01 is Yamato. For whatever reason, within the past couple of days, it has gone from a $20 card to a $35 card. It has a very solid increase, and I believe that's because of Kinemon's internal strategy. Now, Kinemon took up 3 out of the 8 slots in the PvG event, and is overall a very, very strong deck. Because of that, Yamato kind of fits the game plan very, very well because of the land of Wano, the fact that she is Kazuki Odin, and she has double attack and bandage. Very powerful key tags with a counter to boot. So the fact that you can bring this card down for 4 and potentially threaten your opponent's life while also threatening their board by using big Dawn advantages because of your reduction effects makes it so that Yamato has seemed to have a little bit more play, and a lot of the Kinemon decks that I saw or were commentating on stream didn't win because of Yamato, but Yamato was certainly present in their deck. So that's one card that I really wanted to talk about. Also, Dofi, I guess, and Zoro. Zoro dropping about 50% in total value within the past 2 months is kind of crazy to me. One of the coolest looking cards in this OP01 set, but it is what it is. And now if we look at Paramount War, let's go from highest to low. Let's talk about a couple things. So if you guys don't know, there was a ban list that was announced for the Asian regions of the One Piece card game. The cards that were banned were Moby Dick, rightfully so, and Kabaji. Kabaji is a blue 1-drop that was like a part of the Nami deck, just as a way to cycle further through your deck and make your deck all the more powerful and get to that mill mechanic easier than other cards that we had access to. But the hit of the Moby Dick, I believe, would have some sort of impact on the Edward Newgate price. Thinking to myself that because we lose the Moby Dick, then, you know, Whitebeard isn't as strong. But let me tell you, after seeing Whitebeard in the tournament all weekend long, I don't believe Whitebeard is going anywhere. Whitebeard seemed excessively, you know, it was very represented. Everywhere I looked, yeah, I go to another table, Whitebeard, Whitebeard, Whitebeard. Granted, every single Whitebeard game that I commentated, the Whitebeard player lost, but they were very, very close games and it came down to very minuscule misplays from the Whitebeard player. So it's a very strong deck, even without the Moby Dick. The Moby Dick maybe took it a little bit too far, but I'm excited to see what happens in terms to the Whitebeard character card. Maybe it is just held up by very cool main character energy, very powerful deck, but the fact that the ban list hit makes me believe otherwise, and we might see some pain to Edward Newgate. If not, that's completely understandable. He's a super duper cool dude. The Smoker card becoming the second or the highest costing single card in the set besides the manga rare is very, very interesting. So Smoker didn't do too hot in the event. Certainly it's a deck that can top, but needs a lot of things to go right. It's a difficult deck in order to create because your matchups are so polarizing. The matchups where you do very, very well, sure, you do okay, but the matchups that you do very, very poorly in terms of aggressive matchups such as Edward or Roronoa Zoro, it's kind of tough. Definitely those decks, if you don't hit the right curve, you hit the wrong amount of cards, the lack of combo power, the fact that you have to remove cards from your hand really leave you susceptible to some very powerful turns from the red player. And even though you have sometimes a good matchup versus green, allegedly, Odin kind of shuts you down entirely. If they can go ahead and stick an Odin, sure, you can remove it by playing a Sakazuki or some amalgamation of cards, but they'll go ahead and summon an Okiko, and if they've put enough pressure on you, what are we truly doing with our deck? And that's kind of what we saw again and again and again from all the black leaders in the tournament. So it's interesting to see that Smoker does have this price tag, even without the results to hold it up. Kinemon doing very, very well. And even with it doing well and expected to do well, it's kind of sitting at 150. It hasn't dropped from that point. And yeah, Kinemon's exceptionally good. I don't think it will go anywhere below this point, maybe just a little bit, but it might even go up just because of its consistent wins in the past events. Sanji finally going down a bit, Garp, Zephyr, the more copium leaders, trust me, I tried. The more copium leaders are coming down just a bit, but that's understandable. Even though they are some games that they can handle, they're very much a playable leader type in a competitive setting with such an aggressive and polarizing format. being 4-lifers is very, very difficult. If you aren't unable to see the curve that you need versus the aggressive matchup, the fact that you are in a best of 1 meta is going to just absolutely shut you down. If you lose on a trivial, on a turn where you shouldn't lose, or a matchup you shouldn't lose because of a 1 less life, it's going to feel really, really bad. I do think all these decks do have their merit, and they do something a little bit different, and they're very, very cool. 4-lifers in this meta, very scary. Very, very scary. And then we have Emporio Ivankov, which I believe is a fantastic deck. Every time I see the deck pop off, it looks super duper clean. The deck is super cheap in comparison to the other decks. When you think about the alt arts, with the Buggy, the Ivankov, and the Luffy, all sitting between less than $50 when you look at them down here. Another very important card that I want to talk about is Magellan, or Magellan. Magellan went ahead and was able to top 8 at the PBG event. I thought it was a very solid deck, and funnily enough, when I played purple, because I decided to play purple this last weekend, I wasn't very impressed by Kaido. Oftentimes, the fact that the main reason you're playing Kaido is because you get access to Onigashima. Now, Onigashima is a fantastic card, but what happens if you don't open it? Which happens, not a majority of your games, but a good amount of your games. Now, what happens if you don't see your 10-drop Kaido? Well, we've put basically 6 cards in our deck that have created us to play Kaido, but if we don't see any of those cards, or the cards aren't really truly impactful in a specific matchup, then why are we playing Kaido? Why don't we just play Magellan and play the Impel Down package, which is easier to go ahead and trigger, and the fact that we can play the Minotaur and Mini-Koala are just little added bonuses to our deck. It is a little bit lower to the ground and could potentially just steal games. And that's exactly what happened at the PBG event. There were only 4 Magellans that entered, and I believe 2 of them were in the top 32 slots. Magellan possibly for the purple leader? I don't know. Depends on who you ask, but I think it has a very interesting spot. And the fact that this leader is significantly cheaper than the rest of them makes me believe that this card is a little bit undervalued, which is there is some value to be gained there potentially. You have the rest of them sitting at above $70. Why does Magellan, the one that funnily enough did better than Garb, Zephyr, Sanji, and Ivankov, sit at half their price? Doesn't make any sense to me. And lastly, I want to go ahead and talk about Kazuki Oni. Kazuki Oni being a $50 card. This card is unbelievably unbalanced. This card is bananas, right? And $50 for this card is reasonable, but there is no way that this alt art is cheaper than a regular Kuzan. Like, yes, Kuzan is a necessary card in the black decks, and black is cool, Admirals are cool, Pog. Odin is very oppressive. It is a card that necessarily wins games by itself, off of itself. So the fact that it is a $50 card, I could see this card shooting up a bit because it is a game-winning card, meta-defining card, and serves no purpose at being at $50. I also want to talk about the fact that Marco sitting in the $40 range is kind of troll, especially with Whitebeard's added support in the following set. And I do believe that even though the Moby Dick was hit, I think the deck still has some legs. So definitely these prices are very interesting, and I want to see how the metagame shifts and causes these prices to move. Will the coming of the second OPO2 wave change the prices? Maybe. Will we get a second wave of OPO2? Who knows? But until we do, I'll see you guys in the next one. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like down below. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, leave a comment. We'll talk about it. If you guys enjoyed the stream and want to just, leave a little comment that we can talk about, let me know. And as always, guys, if you haven't joined the Pirate Crew and want to consider joining, hit that subscribe button. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.